Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brandon Enriquez, your host of Artistic Visions, the show where we like to go in depth with young artists at OCAD, talk about their art, what they like to talk about in their art, and what they would like to talk about in their art. In today's episode, for the season 9 premiere, we have a very special guest, Ethan Yoshitomo. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hello.
Hey, yeah. And first interview, you said, but
yeah.
it's going to be a chill interview. We're going to start it off strong, too.
I feel so chill right now.
Totally not running on coffee or anything, or
Nope.
sweating.
There's
because
no
of the,
coffee right
or
here.
the heat.
No.
Yeah. Let's start it off, though. Who are you, and what kind of art do you usually make?
My name's Ethan Yoshitomo. I am a photographer, and I'm from Torrence, California.
Yeah, all the way from Cali.
Yeah.
And, what kind of art do you usually like to do?
I'd say the majority of my work has been a mix of like field studies and conceptual works. The medium of photography is still quite new to me. I've only been practicing for, at least seriously, for maybe 2.5 years. Yeah, so I'm still figuring out a lot of things.
I mean, but I personally would say that you have been definitely figuring out stuff, and we've seen it a lot in your work, which we have here. We have the 198 magazine.
Yes.
We have 2 covers here, and let's just go into issue 00.
Prototype.
The prototype.
Okay.
Let's talk about this cover. What do you like about it?
I started 198 with a really good friend and a mentor of sorts, Brendan Stade. He's a very talented photographer that also goes to OCAD. And I remember around the time I met him, we were talking about, because we were looking at so many people doing cool things and cool projects that were self-driven, and we wanted to start a publication. The easiest thing for us would be to start a photography publication. So Prototype is a literal name. We wanted to make a small-scale version of what we'd hope the magazine could be in the future. So it was really just almost like a skeleton and bones version of what we wanted to do eventually, and we wanted to get feedback from everybody and see how we could improve it. And now we have our upcoming issue, which is issue 1, A Long Summer Day, releasing this Saturday, October 26th.
Honestly, let's just move on to that one, because this is the one that you're...
This is the one that I wanted. This is like...
Yes.
I keep calling this the middle child of the magazine. You know, it was really difficult to produce, but it came out and it's worth it, right?
Yeah, very, very wild way to say that. But yes, as the oldest child,
I'm a middle child, so
okay,
I can say that.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. My brother Ethan, he's also the middle child. That is crazy.
That's nuts.
Really wild. Anyways,
Yeah,
back to
love him.
back to the issue. Yes.
So A Long Summer Day is our summer issue. We were supposed to work on it for only about a year, but it's taken us, or only like a few months, but it's taken us maybe a year and a half now. So over the course of summer 2023 and 2024,
oh wow,
me and my art team, so it's me and Brendan Stade run it, and then we have our editor Jason Zhao and our writer and editor Will Ferris. So the 4 of us were working a little more independently this time compared to the first one, which was weird. And there was a lot of difficult moments where we weren't doing as much as we would have liked, and then it was like really taking a strain on some of our mental health and stuff, because this really is just like a passion project, and it's supposed to be fun. I realize that I don't want my personal work to be in it as much. I say that, but that front cover is literally my picture, but like I don't want that anymore, because I think that it's not supposed to be about us. It's supposed to be about photographers, not even just photographers, but exploring different themes and mediums through photography. Just to, with keeping Toronto's perspective in mind. This one, we go a little bit beyond Toronto, which is sick. We have a few featured photographers, Matilda Läckberg, I butchered her last name for sure, who's from Sweden, Gothenburg, Sweden. Very beautiful work.
Wow.
And I think we have a few other people from like Japan and France, maybe not as in depth as I would have liked, but just their photographs are in it, which is great still. The first one was a lot smaller, so this is like probably like not three times, it's 80 pages versus like 20.
Oh wow.
I can't do the math, you can. But yeah.
I mean, but yeah, that's just still that initiative to want to go into a direction where you get to talk to more or explore other people's skills in photography, and not only their skills, but also what do they see in their country or their place, their living area, and it's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and there's challenges to that too, because for this one, we put out a call for submissions, but I told Brendan, or we were talking about it, and I was like, yo, let's just leave it at the title of this theme.
Oh, okay.
But then looking back now, it's a little too broad. So as much as I love how much photographers we featured in it, but there's times where, if I'm just being honest, it feels like it's just like filler content, which I don't really want. I want it to have a little bit more of an in-depth meaning.
Yeah.
There was a few photographers who submitted their work, and we were like, yo, this is so good that we have to reach out and get them to do a little bit of writing. So Vivian C. Sorry, I forgot how to say her last name. And Hugh Martin, we have them featured too. And they have little excerpts on their photography works that they submitted. And then something super exciting about this issue is we were able to land an interview with Brendan George Coe, who is an alumni of OCAD and a pretty big photographer who's based in Maui and Toronto. So, yeah.
That's just absolutely amazing. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. And it sounds like, on top of that, because, I know you're talking about the struggles and how it almost sounds like you're like, I know I could have done more in a way.
I think there'll always be that feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want that feeling to go away.
That's a good...
honest. No matter what I look at, I'll always notice something where I'm like, well, how did I miss that? And I should have done a bit more. But I think that's also what is keeping me driven and to keep producing work.
That's for the next issue, right?
Yeah, the next issue. Yeah, we're very excited. We already got the theme planned out too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for
the
next one.
For issue 2, come out in 5 years.
Are you also taking submissions for that one as well?
Yes, but I think we're gonna do it a lot differently.
Okay.
A little bit more like, I'd say, an application process instead of you just sending me a picture.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely amazing work. I can't wait to see what else comes through with the 198 mag. But let's get more personal with you, even though we were talking about such personal works.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Human Landscape series. It's not just one photo. We got a little series for you guys.
Yeah.
And what would you like to talk about in this series?
Yeah, we could start with Jake, because that's the first. This is Jake Santos, my friend. That's Nishad, yeah.
Oh, is that
That's Jake. Sorry, they're in a weird positioning, but the guy is Jake Santos, a friend of mine. And I'd say that, so last year I started using, I shoot only on film primarily, and I got access to a Mamiya RZ67, which is a really nice studio medium format camera. And throughout the summer last year, I was learning about portraiture, and I started shooting primarily just my friend Jake and Will, because we'd all hang out with our other friend Ben as well, right? And I think towards the end of summer, I was getting more comfortable with my camera, and then I was like, okay, I need to start thinking of something, other than it's still a technical study, but okay, this summer I took a lot of landscapes and I took a lot of portraits, and I know this is like, if I run it down to a basic level, for the past year, have been studying the relationship between figures and the environments.
Okay.
So this series of work started off as just me experimenting with shooting in the same location on multiple occasions, but also trying to make my photographs look much grander than they actually are. Hence, so this first part of this series was shot in Bickford Park of last fall, and so I shot a series of portraits of Jake Santos and Nishad Neshabori, both friends of mine, obviously, and I think I've been in the first half of that, I literally was just like, this is just me trying to figure out how to make my photos look grand and how to work with the environments around me, because eventually I'd like to work on big sets. I'd like to create artificial landscapes in a studio if I ever get the funds for that, right? But then, and so I shelved this project because I was waiting for it to become fall again, because I wanted that consistency. So it's been a year, and last week I finally I reached out to Jake and Nishad, and this was always the original plan, was after looking at their pictures independently, I was like, there is some sort of relationship between these two photos, these pairings. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a picture of both of these people, but I have to wait. So it's been a long wait. I hit them up and Nishat was like, yo, I thought you forgot about this. And I was like, no, I've just been waiting.
I've been waiting
so long. And I decided to switch it up a bit. So we didn't go to Bigfoot this time. We went to, I think, the Humber Trails. And that experience was really interesting because I the last time I shot Jake was last September.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I had worked with Nishat was for another project of mine called Play, which was in January.
Oh, wow.
So I had not worked with them in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think visually with what they're wearing, and I think the quality of my work has improved. There's a huge sense of maturity.
Yes. Oh,
with the last few photos. And while I was shooting, I think I started realizing that this is kind of about love.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'd say I immediately was like, this feels like a bittersweet lovers quarrel,
especially
or something.
This one.
Yeah.
That photo. Of them, like, running.
Yeah,
almost.
and me and my friend Will Ferris have been planning a solo exhibition for me for December, and we finally found it. So,
Hell yeah.
Human Landscapes started out as a technical study, but has turned into my first exhibition, which will be called We Were There Now.
Oh, wow.
And I think this is a culmination of everything I've been doing as a self-study for the past year, but also I think it's a reflection of things I've experienced personally. The way I view it is it's almost like being able to love someone even if they don't love you the same way, being able to accept love from someone you don't feel the same way about, and being able to love yourself and not dwell on things so much. That's how I look at it. I don't want to give too much away, but I think that's surface level enough. Yeah. But I think it was crazy, and it's kind of scary because this is the first self-driven project I finished.
Wow.
So as excited as I am, I'm also like terrified, and I couldn't sleep after me and Will like figured out everything. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I can't even blame you because I mean, this is a project. This is it almost sounds like another passion project that you've been just cooking up for a while.
I think this is the passion project.
The passion project. The other one was a passion project.
Yeah.
This is the passion.
But this is me.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I've gotten to the point now where I'm confident with my work and I know what I'm doing. And I've always known what I was doing, but I didn't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
But a couple months ago, I had to write a little like manifesto excerpt as an exercise in one of my classes, and my prof told me not to think and just type, and I did, and all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, this makes sense.
Oh wow.
And the timing of everything is just really interesting, because after that I'm like, yo, light bulb, figured it out. And then now we have this.
It all clicks.
Yeah, but it's I think I'm uncomfortable because having a long-term project, I learned this, at least with photography, you got to get used to your projects being like, it could span like 5 years, maybe even more, right? So this was only 1 year, but there was a comfort to knowing that it was incomplete, because if I was ever confused, I could just come back to it. But now it's like done, and I don't want to. I could technically make more, but I don't want to, because it would diminish everything that I've built it up to.
That's the bookend for you, right?
Exactly.
Like,
it's very bittersweet. It's very exciting. But yeah, I'm also just like shitting my pants. I'm scared.
I will say you have nothing to worry about, because I was trying to connect the first, because I did notice that Jake actually has different outfit, and I was like, okay, but the scene changed, like it. There's something about that maturity that you can see where, I don't know, like when the first ones, it feels so closed off because there's like a wall of like the
willow tree.
The willow trees.
I love that tree so much.
It's a great shot because it gives that detail, that texture, and honestly starts to hide your subjects like really well.
Yeah.
In a way, like especially even this photo here where like
and what I like about some of these is there's a lot of things that were out of my control. This is the fun part about shooting on film. So if there's a picture of this one right here, Nishat and Jake, and if you look in the bottom, there's a tear. And I was developing this film at work, and our processor jammed, so the film negatives started folding onto each other, and like I was at first I was really pissed off because I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
Yeah.
I have been waiting
Of course.
a year for these photos, whatever.
Oh
And so I had to quickly run it under hot water and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I looked at it and I was like, yo, this is perfect. Because in my exhibition, I'll be presenting a couple experimental darkroom, or one experimental darkroom print,
Okay.
which is also taken in Bigford or whatever. But I thought that this little fracture in that corner right there is invoking a certain feeling I want through my work, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because a lot of people have looked at this series and told me it looks like really scary and creepy, but I feel like it's more melancholy and calm
It's
and dreamlike, if that makes sense.
yeah, I can see where the scary comes because just of the
Just because it's shot in the dark. Yo, if I'm in the dark in a forest, I feel very calm.
In terms of the terror, like even the next shot where they start running, because
Yes.
I interpret it as them running off with each other, but you could interpret it as them running away from that tear, whatever it could represent.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool hearing everyone's thoughts
Yeah.
on it. I think I see two avoidant people when I look at it, metaphorically running away from certain issues they haven't confronted about each other or themselves, right?
Mhm.
But who am I to tell you what it's about? I think that's the excitement of things like this.
That's for you
That's
to
why-
decide.
That's why I get like, I'm trying my best not to say too much because I don't want to because I honestly get cheesed when I look at someone's work and they tell me a little too much. I get disappointed.
That's fair.
There's
That's
certain
fair.
and this is cool too. This light leak.
Oh my
Yeah.
yeah. I was wondering because there's some bordering aspects.
Yeah.
Like
So
even-
that's the beginning. Yeah. Well, that's just the way I scan it. It's a shit scan. Yeah.
I still like it though.
Thank
Like
you.
it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like contrasting the last one. to me,
Yeah.
at least.
I don't know. Photo has had such an impact on my life. I think I've learned a lot through myself with photography, and I've improved photography the more I learned about myself.
Yeah.
And I think like as a kid, I always struggled to find that thing that I wanted to do, right? But no matter how difficult this medium has gotten, I've never once had like second thoughts of like giving up or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, I get scared of the uncertainty, but that also keeps me in check and keeps me motivated to keep trying things out.
It's that drive that
this
keeps you
is-
going.
This is all I have.
I
This
just
or
got
nothing.
my camera.
This is all I have.
But I mean, these images are just absolutely outstanding. I love
appreciate that.
the
Thank you.
colors that come out in it, and I think it was like a really great idea to get your subjects to also get like engulfed in all black because it
Yeah,
just brings out the environment so much.
yeah,
more.
and it makes them like stick out a bit,
Yeah.
right? It's like this most recent shoot, I was so incredibly happy with, and it was
yeah.
really fun shooting with them after so long of not working with them. Yeah, and there's a sort of elegance in these newer photos that I've been trying to get that quality for so long, you know?
Yeah, the elegance I feel like is like
Yeah.
here, like even like maybe here.
And like just the lighting, if you want to look at, go back a bit, like Jake, the focus on Jake's boot right there and the way the lights reflect, it's a really small detail, but I fucking love that.
I was gonna say like how crazy is that his thing
It was it was so funny getting them to do this.
It's like, okay, run
Because,
again.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I'm like, I want you guys to run and hold hands. And I count down, and they just, it's probably like this wide, the little path or whatever. And they just book it, and the shot flies into a bush.
Oh,
and she
no.
comes out and has like those little, those little seedling things that get stuck in your shoes when you go on ice.
Oh no.
And then I look at them, and I was like, what was that? And they're like, you said to run, and I was like, yo, true, but like,
I mean, you might be right, but
no,
damn.
I was not clear enough
Yeah.
with what I was expecting, so it was just funny to see them like fly into the bushes, and it took 3 tries, and we got it.
Anything for art.
Yeah, anything for art.
But yeah, absolutely outstanding series. I'm excited to see when this exhibition will be up. Do you have actually a specific
It'll be
date?
December.
December?
Yeah, need to find a gallery space, but
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
November's crank time. Gonna have to
Oh.
darkroom print like 10 pictures.
Oof,
It's gonna be
that's
sick.
quite a grind time.
I've noticed when my photography gets better, my grades start
yeah,
dropping.
I know, right?
It's a hard
You
balance.
can never work on your art
No.
because then those grades go down. But yeah, absolutely outstanding. I do want to move on to my next question. You know, we've been talking about what kind of motivations you've kind of had in photography, but like what messages do you kind of want to try and touch on with future pieces even of photography?
Yeah, I've given this a lot of thought. I don't think for me there's a specific message I am trying to convey ever. I think that I feel something when I look at those photos, any photos I take, and if someone feels something from those photos, then I've succeeded. I don't like being too straightforward in terms of what you're supposed to feel. I think for me personally, my work is a sort of escapism, a little fantasy sometimes perhaps, but it's up to you what you feel. As long as you feel something, I think that I am happy with that. I don't have any specific messages, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, that's...
Things are subject to change, though. Maybe in a year or two I'll have something, but I think my message is I want you to feel something when you look at my photos.
I get that. I totally... It invokes those feelings, especially with the human landscapes. Like, it's so obviously personal, and that there's obviously something there that the audience, not even just the audience, but even for you, that it will invoke something like either nostalgic, melancholy,
reminiscent.
Dark, reminiscent. Like, it just keeps going, and I could even just go on for hours about how different. Perspectives. I was gonna say angles.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at.
But yeah, different perspective, you know. And it's just amazing to see, and I'm really excited to see how it's gonna look.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's gonna be outstanding.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Ethan, I would love to move on to my next question. Who or what is your inspiration with your art or photography in general?
I could start with the who. I'm just gonna list some people. Varvara Gorbanova, Matilda Lakeberg, Brendan George Coe, Tyler Mitchell, Benjamin Chromian. He's a very talented painter, that one. He's one of the smartest guys I've met here. Yeah, those I'd say those ones are the big inspirations for me. Brendan George Coe and Tyler Mitchell are mainly just on a technical aspect and what they do for a living. I hope that I could do that with my work eventually. Tyler Mitchell has a very elegant aesthetic, and he works on conceptual works and does his own photo exhibitions, but also is able to balance it with commercial work. So he'll shoot for like Vogue, and he did a really amazing series for, I think, Prada's men's collection last spring. It's a really cool collection of photos. And then Brendan George Coe, similar thing. I think he just travels a lot and is able to capture the beauty of like the nature and landscapes throughout, like mainly North America, I'd say. But I feel like those two have this incredible balance of being able to be taken seriously as an artist while also working commercially, which is something I struggle with because I'm very stubborn. And so when I get approached to take a picture, if it's not artistic or whatever, I usually shut it down immediately. Like, I don't want to do wedding photography. I just won't. I can't, no matter how good the bills are. I got offered like maybe 1 to 2K last summer or something, and I was like, that's not what I do. I'm sorry. And I think that's an ego thing that I have to work on personally, but
I mean,
whatever.
There's also a clash of like, I'm not familiar with that style of photography. Like, those people are probably expecting those, like, you know, beautiful.
Hazy. And it's like, I think my work is an extension of myself. So if I'm not feeling it, I can't do a good job, unfortunately. And I think with Matilda and Varvara, I look at them. I met both of them because they both separately came here on an exchange program at OCAD.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So Matilda's from Sweden, and I'm about to go on exchange to Gothenburg next winter, hopefully.
Yeah.
And Varvara's from Prague. But as peers, I really look up to those two a lot. They have a certain quality of work. Varvara has this consistency to her photographs that, like, you could look at any one of her pictures, no matter what, if it's on digital or film, and you know that Varvara took this picture. And she's able to capture so much intimacy through her work. Matilda I love because she's very experimental with her photography, and, you know, she's able to, like, be herself through her work. Because she's a very laid back and like sweet person, and a lot of her work can be a bit flirty, and I think it's cool to see incredible work that also is just a little bit of humor in it, you know? Because I like to joke around and stuff, but I take this shit so seriously that like I don't know, I don't know. But yeah, it's cool to be able to see someone produce like quality work that's also laid back.
Like lighthearted and like
yes,
feeling,
and then my dear friend Ben, I met him when I moved here. He's the first friend I made. But I respect his drive so much. I think just looking back, like 3 years ago, from the get-go, he already knew what he wanted to do, and it's been so awesome to see him succeed, you know. And yeah, just his beautiful work. Check him out.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful paintings.
That's amazing. That's always great to hear, you know, because to meet those people who are just like, yeah, I want to do this, and then they go on this journey, they do it.
Yeah,
like,
it's just it's cool. It's just awesome.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
That's
and
amazing.
I feel like I want to be surrounded by people like that a bit more, because then I get my shit together and work a bit harder too, right?
That's totally fair. Yeah. Well, speaking of people, communities, I did want to ask you, how has OCAD helped you with art, or even just photography as well?
I think OCAD's helped me out a lot, and I think a lot of people don't acknowledge how good of a university we go to. I'm gonna start with that because I've heard a lot. I think even coming into OCAD, like I'm not from Canada, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I took a bit of a gamble. But I remember as soon as I got accepted, I was reading about OCAD, and all the like Reddit forums or YouTube videos were just saying how horrible of a school it was. But then I got here and I realized that, first of all, it's a university. No matter what university you go to, they do not give a shit about you. You are just a paycheck for them.
It's a university.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Sorry, you're not. They don't actually care. Like, I know it's messed up to say, but it's just true. I'm sorry.
I wonder how much of this will be left in the edit. But
sorry, these are your bosses. My bad.
Yeah,
They
know, right?
care so much about us. They really care about us and want us to succeed. No, I'm generalizing a lot. I understand that, but I think
I get it. I know what you're saying.
I think what I'm trying to say is like, no matter what I think institution you go to, there's going to be so many flaws and stuff, because especially when they're like a bigger university or whatever. But also I think that I learned the hard way. It's a tough pill to swallow, but like going to art school is very hard. And it's very self-driven. You have to do a lot yourself. Your profs aren't going to hand you a little golden platter telling you what you should do.
I mean, most of your profs are going to be telling you other things too, and like the critiques that
well,
might
I
change
think
it too, so.
I think critiques have softened up a bit.
That is very true as well. After pandemic.
Yeah,
that's
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
Like, but I think that it's a shame, because this is the chance for you to be very vulnerable and just very brutally honest with one another. We're trying to help each other out, right? We're all in the same boat here, you know. I think it's not personal when you get criticized like that. This comes from a good place, and it's to help you improve. I think that's helped a lot. Like, I've had a handful of profs who were very brutally honest with me, and at the moment it really sucked, and I was really mad because I'm very sensitive about my work and stuff. But then I remember looking back a couple months later and actually reading the feedback, and I was like, he didn't say it was bad.
Yeah.
He said, here's how you can improve.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but like, I think the fact that at like OCAD specifically, like no one's really holding your hand, I think that's really helped me step up and like be a bit more self-driven and independent in terms of my work. I think it's really cool it's a double-edged sword in terms of how small the school is. Sometimes it's really awesome knowing a majority of the people, or like a lot of people, because you get to like really easy to do something together. But then sometimes it's a little overwhelming, because like I'm just trying to chill right now, but like there's a bit I think I've learned a lot through the community stuff. Like when I was in integrated media, I tried to start an OCAD film production club. And I realized that I don't work well in film type things, like motion picture stuff, and I definitely don't work well because I think filmmaking's hard because a lot of people want to. I think I talked to you about this a couple weeks ago.
Filmmaking is pretty hard.
Yeah, and I think especially when you need a whole team to produce work, but when every single person on that team wants to do something their own way, you just get to nowhere. So that crashed and burned really quick.
The too many cooks thing.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
I think I handled that a little badly. I feel bad, but it helped me get to where I am now. Through all these mishaps, I learned that I wanted to do photography. Like I started as a painter here.
Yeah, that's wow.
Very basics.
Painter and then
integrated media and then photo. Wow. So I'd say I don't know. This is a very long answer to a very simple question, but I think OCAD has helped me a lot, and I think that I don't know. I like it a lot. It's cool, you know. I've learned from people a lot. I've learned about myself a lot because of. Not the lack of support, but the realization that you have to do things a little more independently, which is good because guess what? When you leave OCAD, no one is going to help you. You have to be able to do it yourself, and that is scary. But I don't know. I think, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like it is that creative development that I think that OCAD does kind of help you get to explore and really get to structuralize.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And OCAD has a color darkroom, which is insane privilege. Insane.
We have
privilege.
one of the only.
I think so. I think it might. I think Concordia just got one again, but it's like one of the last color darkrooms accessible in like all of Canada or something like that.
And that's still an insane thing.
Yeah,
like we have a lot of just studios and
very great resources.
Resources.
I think the facilities are amazing.
Yeah.
That color darkroom has turned into like a little ritualistic sanctuary of peace for me when I'm working because it's like pitch black.
I gotta
silent.
love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That. Well, thank you so much, Ethan, for coming on this show. But before we end off this episode, is there anything you'd like to plug, promote, or put out there for the world to know?
Hopefully by the time this releases, I have an idea of where my show will be in December. But I do have an upcoming solo exhibition called We Were There Now. You can check out my work at Ethan Yoshitomo on Instagram.
Any more updates for the shows and upcoming shows from Ethan will be on his Instagram. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been really fun.
Thank you for being here for the season premiere. Or season 9 premiere,
Season 9 premiere, let's go.
Artistic Visions. And I hope you had a lot of fun.
I did.
And I hope you also had fun watching this episode of Artistic Visions. I cannot wait to see you guys very, very soon. Take it easy, and I hope you have a good day, week, or weekend, or just overall time. Bye.